Okay, we are now recording. So welcome. We're like on lesson 4. So is this teacher paced? The Nearpod is teacher paced right now. Yep. And the classes as well. Okay, let me share my screen with you. All right, so everybody should be able to see that there. Okay, so if you missed the lesson 3 quiz, you can always go back and do it, right? Anything you miss, you can go back and do. All right, let's start rolling here. So just reminder, this session will be recorded for learning purposes, all that fun stuff. Here's my expectations. Follow along on the Nearpod lesson. Use the chat appropriately and respectfully. Respond to questions and instructions the first time. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about migration, specifically what's called push and pull factors. I am going to jump real quick to the lesson. As you can see right here, I always post my lesson recordings on the first page or on the announcements. And then if you go into content, you'll be able to go through all the stuff. So I have, I better open that up so you guys can see it. We'll have the lesson 4 assignment that I'll go over today. That's going to be your exit ticket. And I'll go over that objective in a second. But if you go to like lesson 3, I got the recording, the Nearpod link. You want to use this Nearpod link to be able to get into that you can just go at your own pace. And then it goes over all the assignments and stuff like that. So for those of you are new to here, that's what you do. Also, you want to come up here to the very beginning and take the pre-test because you get points for taking the pre-test. It doesn't matter what you get on the pre-test. I just give you points for taking it because I want to try to show growth throughout the block. Can't talk today. Okay, there we go. All right, so here is our objective for today. Sorry, let me turn on my notification thing to be off so people don't disturb us. Okay. All right, here's our objective. Oh, you forgot to take that? That's all right if you forgot to take it. Still go back and take that pre-test because I want to see that data. Okay, so here we are. So our objective is giving a new Xella article. Students will read the article about immigration and draw conclusions of push and pull factors by listing 2 reasons for each person, each why the person or persons want to immigrate to another country, and determine whether it is a voluntary or involuntary migration with 80% accuracy across one trial. I'm gonna be honest, that sounds really wordy, but it's really not that hard. I'll walk you through it. Okay, so first off, what is migration? Okay, so migration means the movement of people from one area or region to another, or it could be animals, or it could be stuff like that. I'm sure you've always heard about the migration of birds, right? Birds head south for the winter, or different animals, they migrate from one place to the next. Okay, that is what migration is. But specifically, we're going to talk about people and why do people migrate from one place to the next. So there's 2 different types of things. There's what's called push factors and there's called pull factors. And you can see this little political cartoon right here. So you have this castle up here and you have people leaving the kingdom and you have people coming in. So why are the people leaving? It says we are leaving because we do not like the way things are done here. Okay, so for example, I've heard a lot of people from California that said, I'm leaving California because I don't like what's going on there. Okay, that could be many things. That could be politics. That could be just things are too expensive. It could be all kinds of stuff. Okay, and then we have this people coming in. We are arriving because we do not like the way things are done elsewhere. Okay, so we all kind of migrate almost to where we're comfortable living. So somebody says California's right now isn't very cool. Yeah, so people, they say don't like it. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people are moving to Utah. A lot of out-of-state license plates. Yeah, I agree with it. And we can talk about why people are moving into Utah in just a second, as we're coming up on these different things. But let's watch a quick little video. And I guarantee I forgot to push the, let me stop sharing. I forgot to push the audio. I almost guarantee, I always do that. All right, now you'll be able to hear it. So here we go. Let me.
And the move of people and the spread of ideas.
Okay, can you guys hear that? Yeah, okay. Cool. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit too. And then mute myself.
Of ideas, we have to talk about push factors and pull factors. They're kind of what it sounds like. Push factors are things that push people out of an area. They make it so they no longer want to be there anymore, and they want to move to a different location. We could also even look at this for jobs and different things within your community. Something that is going to make you feel unwelcome, well, you're going to probably want to leave that. Push factors are things that are not welcoming. This could be poor economic conditions, a lack of opportunity, war or political oppression, or just oppression from your neighbors or people in the area. These are things that cause us to no longer want to be in a certain location. And because of that, then we decide to leave. So that's a push factor. Now, pull factors are a little bit different. Pull factors are what would attract someone to an area. A pull factor makes you want to move to that location. It makes you want to go to a certain area. We can break pull factors down into four main categories: economic pull factors, political, cultural, and also environmental. Our first category is economic pull factors. And this one is the most powerful at moving people. For here, people always want to move to areas with opportunity. And so they will go to areas with more economic opportunity. Places that have poor economic conditions are more likely to push people out. Economics is a big reason why people move. This is also why current day, the United States is a big destination for a lot of migrants and immigrants. Many people, particularly from Central America, want to come to the United States because of all the economic opportunity here. Let's look at an example. Let's say that we have a city and they just discovered a bunch of natural resources. This is going to start driving economic growth, and we're going to see an attraction to this particular area. We're going to see more miners, more loggers, more people come that want to be able to harvest and utilize these natural resources. There, then, we're also going to have more businesses come. If we're having all these new workers come into this area, that means there's going to be more people with money. So they have money to spend on different goods. And with that, then, we're also going to see probably more scientists and geologists come to look at what's going on with the environment and analyze the different areas. If we're having mines, well, they need to look at what's happening in the mines. Trees, we're going to be looking at different carbon monoxide output and what's going on there with the environment. And with all these excess people coming, we'll need more restaurants and stores and more housing. So all of this, just a simple discovery of natural resources, it becomes a huge pull factor. And we can transform an economy overnight, as now we're starting to see more workers and people come from all over the place just because of new opportunity. Our next topic is political. Now, people want to go to an area that's politically stable, where you're not seeing a lot of tension with the government and its citizens, where safety is on the rise, and we're not seeing a lot of crime escalation. They also want to go to an area where the government is supporting the people, where they're fulfilling their needs and helping the economy grow and make sure that we're not seeing a recession or anything that would cause uncomfortable times for its citizens. So people move to an area that's politically stable. Areas that aren't politically stable, well, that's going to be another push factor. That might cause refugees, someone who feels like they're persecuted and they have to flee the country, or internally displaced people where they're within their same borders, but there's a conflict and they've had to flee internally inside the country, or maybe even push them to become an asylum seeker. And that is where they're going to be going to another country in hopes of getting recognized as a refugee and gain that status. But a political motivation here is stability. People want to move to an area that's stable. The next category is cultural. Now, this is going to be different for each person because everyone has a different culture and a different view on life. Some people want to move to a big cities where they're going to have more diversity, both with their economic opportunities, but also in just the citizens who are living in that area. They'll start to be able to experience a faster paced life, and they might at the same time also have some higher crime rates and more traffic issues. Some people like the suburbs where you can have a yard, a front and a back, you'll have a bigger house, you'll have a lower crime rate, better schools, and you'll have maybe a more homogeneous area. So diversity goes down. Or some people want more of the rural lifestyle where they're in a small town and you have that family feel and you know everyone in the area and you're able to kind of pick and choose your community. Everyone has different cultural things that will pull them to a certain area. So culture can be a big aspect of it, particularly when people are having families. We see a lot of people start to move into the suburbs or in smaller communities when they have families because they want to make sure they're in a safe area. So this is a big pull factor for people. Our last category is the environment. People are attracted to environments that promote not only a happy life and a successful economy and a stable society, but ones that they feel comfortable with. Remember back to my video on the 4 twos, the too hot, too cold, too wet, and too high. Those are areas people don't want to be. I should definitely know some of this. I live in Minnesota where it is very cold in the winter. A lot of people don't want to live up here because of the coldness. They want to go to a warmer area. Now, there's other barriers that impact migration, such as mountains or government laws, restrictions, and also even just money. It's expensive to move. At the same time, though, what we've seen over time is it's become easier and easier to migrate and move. With communication and transportation improving, barriers we used to have are no longer there. That's also why we're seeing an increase of people moving, particularly to different countries that they see as more opportunity that is going to be available to them, where they can get a better life. And then we see now less of the physical restrictions, but more of a governmental stance. Governments now are passing laws and putting up barriers to try and prevent migration of people.
That ends it. That was a lot to go over. I didn't realize how long that video was. My bad. All right. So what I want you to do is answer the following questions here. It's thinking. Okay. So there is 2 questions, okay? So moving to another area because of employment opportunity is a blank factor, okay? Oops. Sorry, guys. Probably got you out of that quiz. But you're supposed to push next after you do that one. So you can get to the next one if you see that at the bottom. So answer those 2 questions for me. Yeah, sorry about the Nearpod chat. I'll get it right in the link right now. Oh, somebody else did it for me. Thank you. All right, looks like most of you got it. Nailed it. 2 for 2. Very good. Okay, so we'll go over those just a little bit more. So push factors, right? I don't know if anybody has seen this before, this pyramid. This is called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And it's basically the necessities that you need to be able to be good, right? We all want kind of self-fulfillment. But there are basic needs. So if you take away any of these needs and then also some psychological needs, you're probably going to be pushed out of an area. That's why they call it a push factor. So for example, if there's not water in an area or food or warmth or security, safety, if you then go in psychological kind of stuff, if you don't have like friends or some type of relationship, if you don't have a feeling of community, right? You'll probably look at leaving as well, right? But those basic needs for sure, you're going to be doing that, right? Okay, then you also have pull factors, so places. So if you didn't have those things, where would you go, right? Well, you're going to find a place, right, that probably has good economic places, right? I like this picture of this guy bowing down to money, right? We're just going to go to wherever. So a lot of people move because they have a new job opportunity or something like that, okay? You have more freedom to do what you want. You can say what you want. You can do what you want. If you kind of noticed, this happened a little bit like with COVID, a lot of people moved to areas where they were not requiring masks because they didn't want to wear masks, right? Because they feel that was a violation of their freedom. Okay. Some people were fine with it, right? It just kind of depends on what you're feeling the thoughts were and where you feel belonging. Okay, so I'm going to ask you this question. Have any of you moved to one place or another? If so, then why, right? Let's kind of hear some examples of maybe why. Oh, that's another thing. I didn't think about the reverse of that you would go to a place where the mask actually was required, right? I moved because my dad passed away. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. But that is like a thing, right? You probably didn't have the resources after that. You've stayed in the same place for 8 years, so you might feel comfortable and don't feel these push or pull factors. I have because of my dad's job, so economic, military, right? Another thing for employment, that kind of stuff. Parents moved to the United States because dad needed a job. Okay. My sister moved out, so we moved out. Okay. So be by family where you're comfortable. I have a few times. It's been a while. Okay. So crime rates. Yeah. So maybe you didn't feel safe in a certain area, right? Or wanted to get out of a certain situation. Someone moved from Minnesota to Utah because of dad's job. Okay. Sorry, I'm not reading all of these out loud. I apologize. But my parents did from Mexico to America because they wanted the opportunity for me and my siblings. That's great. That's awesome. I went to Connecticut to Utah because New Haven wasn't safe enough. Okay, another thing about safety. Utah to North Dakota, then back to Utah. We had to move because it was too expensive. That's another thing, right? Like economic issues, right? A lot of people, why we talked a little bit about California, why they're moving out of California is because it's too expensive to live there. You have people that are making above the poverty line, but are still homeless because they can't find a place to live. Moved closer to be with family. Okay. Was moving to Idaho because my mother get better job. All right. Okay, but we all have reasons, right? And I think some have not, they've never felt anything, but some have felt like these push and pull factors kind of work for them. Okay, so here's another thing, voluntary versus involuntary migration. So we know how we talked about psychological and we talked about basic needs in the Maslow hierarchy of needs. That is something that's kind of interesting. So if you are feeling those basic needs are violated, like you, for somebody said they're hard to breathe, something maybe with bad air, okay? So like think of the air quality in Utah. It's some of the worst in the world, especially during these fires that are coming on, as well as you got the inversion that happens and that will happen. If the air quality is really bad and you can't do things, right? That's an involuntary way of moving. Does involuntary count like you have to go with your parents? Well, I guess that would for kids, but we're kind of thinking more of like you have to move because of danger. You have to move because of safety. You have to move because you don't food. You can't get economic things. that would be involuntary. Voluntary is more of those psychological kind of needs, okay? So for example, I need to be close to my family, right? Or I like the weather somewhere else, right? You'd like to apologize to Utah for our fires. Yeah, California, they owe Utah big time. Okay. So I feel like, you know, that's the kind of the distinction, right? Is if it's a basic need versus like maybe a social or psychological. Okay. So for example, here we go. Let's fill in the blank. Everybody that's doing on the Nearpod, they'll do that. Let's say you're living in Sudan, Africa, and a war breaks out. It is now unsafe for you to live there. This would be an blank migration. What do you guys think? Voluntary or involuntary? What you do is you take these and you just put them wherever they go, right? Is that a basic need? I'd say so. You end up migrating to New York City, USA. After a year, you find a higher paying job in Miami, Florida. This would be considered a voluntary. They technically give you the answer. Yep, basically. All right, cool. All right, so this is your assignment that you'll do, okay, that you'll find in here. So you basically just go to the assignment. It's probably logged me out by now. But you go to the assignment right here, and it's going to ask you basically these questions. First, what you need to do is read an article, okay? The article is found. I'll show you where to do it on the next page. It's about this 15-year-old that is trying to join his mother in California, okay? And he's from El Salvador. So it's not a very long read, just very short. But you got to analyze whether it's voluntary or involuntary. What you want to do is list 2 push factors why the person migrated. Okay, list 2 pull factors because you can have each, right? So there's pull factors coming in, there's going out. And then answer whether it's voluntary or involuntary. So that is your exit ticket / assignment, okay? So something about giving natural resources to California. Okay. All right. So if you want to get to the link directly to start reading it, it is right here on the Nearpod. If you click I'm Not a Robot, it'll actually like click up for you on your computer. Okay. I know people have said that before. Let me see. I'm just going to put it in the chat here, this article. You should be able to access it from your, it says the migration case study. That's where it will be too. Make sure everybody can access that. And then if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. So that's our lesson today. So I'm going to stop the recording, but I'll be around to answer any questions or anything like that.